Hello and welcome to the second homework video for 6th grade for Friday, April the 24th. This is going to cover our lesson working with finding the volume of a square prism or rectangular prism. So to start with, let's go ahead and take a look at number 2. So we can change this to a decimal. Sometimes I would recommend that you go ahead and make them into improper fractions and do it that way. Sometimes it will work doing it as a decimal because one of the things that if I'm going to suggest you guys use a calculator for some of these, you are going to need to use the decimal value to be able to accomplish that unless you are working with a graphing calculator that lets you put in fractions. So 5.5 times 2.5 gives me this particular part, 13.75. Multiply that by 2, that's going to give me 27.5, which I can change to 27 and a half. Number 4. Here's my work for this one. So if you want to try to pause the video, I'll talk through this really quick. So 7.5 times 2.5 gives us 18.75 times 6 gives us 112.5, which is 112 and a half. Number 6, this one I mistakenly said that this was the area originally, and you had to do that times this, which doesn't give us the right answer. We're actually doing 2.25 times 2.25, which you're probably going to want to do in a calculator. That's going to give us 5.0625 times 6 gives us 30.375. Again, 1.25 is the value of 1/8 converted to a decimal. And so this would be the value of that times 3. So we would have 3/8 for that if you used a calculator. Number 8. So a stack of paper is 8.5 inches by 11 inches by 4 inches. So we can do 8.5 times 44. I consolidated both of these so that I only had to do one math problem, and this actually ends up being much easier. So we'd have 374 inches cubed. So number 1 on the back, this is the one that I graciously decided to work out to the side. I'll show you the work for the exact answer when I get over there. But what we should have done was round up to 20, round up to 15, and 10 was already there. This is a much easier problem. You could group either of these however you wanted. We would get the answer 3,000. You could use mental math to do this part. Number 2, a storage container is a rectangular prism that's 65 by 40. The volume is 62,400. So what I ended up doing for that one, as I'm moving things around and messing up my orientation, would be 62,400 divided by 40, which gives me 1,560, which I then divide by 25. I think it was easier to do it this way instead of trying to do this divided by 65 to start with. So that gives me 24 as the height, and that should be a C, so it's 24 centimeters. So oops, I messed up. Let's take a look at the actual answer is here. So if you want to pause the video, so I started by converting everything to improper fractions and multiplying by hand. So here's 115 times 118, it gives me 18,644 divided by 64. Here's the work for that. We get a remainder of 8/64, and that converts down to 1/8. So it should be 2,913 and 1/8, and apparently I lost that last eighth off the end there. So that was the answer for that. So those are the problems for the homework, including the mistake that I actually made when I originally did the video that you couldn't see any of the work anyway. So I'll go ahead and show you that that actually happened so you could see what you might be asked to do in high school when you have to do this again. That would match kind of what I had to do, and we were not allowed to use calculators. So you guys are allowed to use calculators now, and that's wonderful because you guys are learning how to do this several years before I learned how to do this when I was growing up. So about 30 years ago, I would have not learned this in 6th grade. We would have learned it in 8th grade, getting ready to go into high school, and then I would not have seen it again except for doing geometry in high school. So, hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments, and I will see you on Monday.